Hello everyone, my name is Brittany and today I am super excited because I got two new rooted cuttings of pothos to add to my large pothos smorgasbord here. So I figured today we could add these in here, talk a little bit about pothos and their care and how to get thriving pothos, whether you are having them climbing or trailing or crawling on the wall. And then talk a little bit about this specific one and the background in it and how it has done in my care. And so if you are a lover of pothos, then stick around and let's talk pothos. Okay, so this larger pot of mixed pothos that I have has been kind of just a culmination of small plants that I've gotten, of propagations that I've rooted, and kind of all just went into this one pot. So I currently do have some golden pothos, some of which are very green and some of which are pretty variegated, as you can see. And then I do also have some marble queen in here. This one's super variegated, really pretty. And then kind of some smaller ones as well. So I have owned this plant. It was one of the first plants that I got, the golden, just like I think a lot of us. And it has been super easy care and has never given me a hard time. And so I did want to add a couple others. So this is an Enjoy pothos that I want to stick in here. And then this one, as you guys know I love, is a Neon pothos. So I wanted to get this in here as well. And these are just rooted cuttings, so they're all individual little pieces. And I thought that I could kind of mix them around and make it look really together in this big pot. So that's the idea today. As we do this, we're going to talk a little bit about care, how to best care for your plant, and to give it the best life possible. There's the goal. Okay, so I did back you guys up just a little bit so you could kind of see what is going on here with this plant. The first thing that I wanted to talk about with pothos is lighting. And we've talked about lighting before and what it means to have a low light plant, which pothos are notoriously known for being low light plants, very easy care plants. So what does that actually mean for a pothos? So my pothos sits right next to a window and gets some really good afternoon light. And it seems like it thrives, sorry, I've been sick, with that low light. The variegation, I've noticed, really does like the light. And so if you have your pothos in a lower light situation, it will survive, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to thrive. It's going to grow at the rate that you're wanting it to. The variegation is going to be as substantial as it might be in a higher light situation. So anything from low light, 4 to 6 feet away from a window, to bright indirect light, which means next to a window, but not directly outside in the light, is ideal for a pothos. The more light you can give pretty much any plant, the better. So kind of keep that in mind when you're looking at lighting with this guy. So here's what we're gonna do. Because these new plants are rooted cuttings, they're just very small and easy to kind of add to the pot. So I don't think I'm gonna unpot everything. I think because I do have a lot of space in here, I'm just gonna kind of make room and just put them in. So I'm gonna do that really quick, and then we'll talk a little bit more about pothos care. Okie doke, got all those in. The enjoy was all separated cuttings, so those kind of just went around the base of the plant. And then the neon, some of those were a little bit more tied together, so there's more bundles of those in here. And I think it looks so cool. So the next thing I wanted to talk about with Pothos is watering. So in terms of watering, the roots on these guys are pretty non-tolerant to overwatering. So if you do overwater, they will rot. So the way that I check for if this plant needs watered is I will put my finger down about 1 inch or 2 inches, or I will take a skewers that we use for barbecuing, and I will stick it all the way down into the bottom of the pot. Let me show you what that looks like real quick. Let me go grab one. So wooden barbecue skewer, and I'm gonna find a spot that's pretty open so that I'm not damaging the roots as I do this. And I'm just gonna stick it all the way down into the bottom, wait just a couple seconds. Sometimes I'll spin it around a little bit, and then I'm gonna pull it back out. And if there's any soil clinging to that skewer, it means that the soil is moist. So I did just water this yesterday in preparation of this little potting situation to avoid any shock. So you can see the skewer had gone down to right here. So the entire soil of this pot is wet. Once it comes out clear and there's no soil and no moisture sticking to the skewer, you are good to water it. So sometimes that takes about a week, 2 weeks, depending on your house, your climate, the temperature in your house. So just make sure that you're not overwatering. If anything, underwatering would probably be ideal for these. When they do get thirsty, you can tell because they'll start to really droop. The leaves will start to droop. They'll start to look a little bit more sad. So like this guy up here who's really happy and springy will start to kind of droop down like this. So that's how you know it's ready to water. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about, make this video brief, is propagation of this plant. It is very easy to do, and I have a ton of propagations sitting around, Pothos propagations. So the idea is that you are going to find an area that has a node. So a node is the part that the leaf is growing out of. So if we look at this neon here, let me get it to focus right here. You can tell right here is where the node is, because that is where the new leaf is growing out of. You want to cut below that point. If there is a leaf, like this one, close to that node, you want to just break it off, and then you can stick the stem right into some water, and it will start to grow a root from that node. And that's exactly what I had with these plants that I put in here today. It was rooted cuttings, and so the nodes had roots growing out of the end of them. In terms of this specific plant, I do have it on this cocoa coir pole because I liked the look of it. So it is not rooted into the pole itself like it would maybe on a moss pole, because the cocoa coir doesn't stay moist. So it's basically just for the structure and the way that it looks, for the support. So the leaves on this are not going to grow as big as they would if they were on a moss pool that was being kept moist and was being rooted into with the roots, the aerial roots that come out of the nodes as it grows. So for this one, I just kind of pull everything toward the cocoa coir pole, and then I use, can you see it? Here you can. This gardening Velcro tape. It looks like this. And I just kind of wrap it around it. And, hi buddy. I kind of need to do that with this one. So I'm gonna grab some scissors and I'm gonna tape these bigger pieces up here so that it continues to grow toward the pole. and doesn't get all wonky. Okay, so here's a better angle of the way that those are growing away from the pole. So I'm just gonna take a chunk of this tape. I'm gonna find the leaf that does not have the new leaf growing off of it. So here is the leaf that is the newest, which means it will have the newest leaf growing off of it. And I don't want to get in the way of that. So I, turn it this way, I'm just going to pin just this leaf until that new leaf comes in. And it's just Velcro, so you just kind of pull it around and then Velcro it together, and it keeps it nice and secure and growing right up this pole. So you can see that's what that looks like with all those new leaves. They're gonna look a little wonky here at first until they kind of acclimate to the pot, to the way that the sun hits it. So in the meantime, it looks a little bit crazy, but it will kind of come together. And as these new babies start to grow, then I will attach them with that Velcro tape, just like the rest of these in here. So this are just a couple care tips. In terms of caring for this plant, basically I check it once a week with the wooden stake to see if it needs water. I do bottom water it because I've noticed the fungus gnats tend to show up once you start top watering. I also, because this is kind of a jungle, do just check the leaves every few days to make sure that nothing is blocking the new growth, to make sure they're not getting tangled up. There was just one that I pulled out. It's a brand new leaf right here. And it was growing up into behind this stem right here. So I just kind of untucked it so it has room to grow. And then the last thing that I will do in my just general week-to-week care of this plant is I will just dust the leaves off. Some of these, can you tell how dusty that is? Some of these are large and they do collect dust. And when that happens, the sunshine does not photosynthesize in the leaves as well. So just a quick little dusting, check if it needs water, and make sure that nothing's tangled up in here. And then outside of that, this kind of just sits around and looks pretty. So I hope that you guys have a pothos plant that you love. I hope that you're adding to your collection. If you have any really cool pothos or care tips, please feel free to share them with us down below. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel if you like chatting about plants, and I will see you in our next video.